What if everything you thought you knew about the fate of the 10 lost tribes of Israel was wrong? From the heart of Ethiopia to the rituals of Japan, 12 groups boldly claim to be descendants of these ancient Israelites. Are these assertions groundbreaking revelations or elaborate myths? This episode dives into a saga of identity, faith, and global intrigue, backed by DNA and cultural puzzles that challenge history itself. Don't miss this electrifying exploration of one of humanity's greatest enigmas.
What if, you opened up your family photo album and realized a few thousand pages were missing?
Oh, wow.
And on those pages, ancestors who, walked with prophets, built ancient temples, maybe even, shaped the course of history.
That's a powerful image.
It's the reality for people all over the world who believe they're descended from the 10 lost tribes of Israel.
A story that's part historical mystery, part spiritual quest.
And all parts intriguing.
It really is. A puzzle that spans continents and centuries. You've got groups from Ethiopia to Japan to the Americas, all claiming a connection to these ancient tribes.
Tribes that vanished from the historical record over 2,700 years ago.
That's right.
So, okay, let's rewind for a second. We're talking about the 10 tribes of the ancient kingdom of Israel. The ones conquered and exiled by the Assyrian Empire in 721 BC.
Exactly.
And the Assyrians, not exactly known for their kindness.
No, they weren't known for their gentle relocation programs. The idea was to break the spirit of their captives, assimilate them into the empire.
Erase their cultural identity.
Exactly, like ripping pages out of a history book, scattering them to the wind.
No wonder their story has become shrouded in mystery.
Right.
So did they truly disappear? Or did they manage to cling to their heritage?
Passing it down, generation to generation.
In these far-flung corners of the world.
It's a captivating question. And it's not just about tracing bloodlines. It's about, the resilience of culture, the power of belief.
What it means to belong to a people. And a story. That goes back millennia.
You got it.
So we're on a quest to separate fact from fiction.
Myth from reality.
We've got a stack of research, historical accounts, even some genetic data, all to help us unpack the claims of these 12 groups.
12 groups who believe they hold the keys to the 10 lost tribes' legacy.
Let's start with a group whose story has made headlines. The Beta Israel of Ethiopia.
Okay.
For centuries, they practiced Jewish traditions in relative isolation, cut off from the broader Jewish world.
Imagine that. Maintaining your cultural and religious identity for generations, despite being surrounded by different faiths and customs.
So they had their own version of the Torah.
Yes.
Observed dietary laws.
Observed dietary laws, and they even had a priestly caste, similar to the Kohanim in traditional Judaism.
Wow. It's like discovering a long-lost branch of your family tree, with its own unique traditions and stories to tell.
Absolutely.
And then, their story takes an even more dramatic turn. In the 20th century, they started migrating to Israel.
Facing political hurdles, sparking debates about who is considered Jewish under Israeli law.
So their arrival challenged the very definition of Jewish identity.
Right, raising questions about, whether shared ancestry or shared practice holds more weight. And this debate, believe it or not, was influenced by something you might not expect.
What's that?
DNA evidence.
So what did the DNA tell us? Did it confirm their claim of descent from ancient Israelites?
DNA analysis revealed a fascinating but complex picture. Some studies showed genetic links between the Beta Israel and other Jewish populations, suggesting a shared ancestry. But there were also distinct African genetic markers present.
So not a simple yes or no answer then?
Exactly. It's more like a puzzle piece that fits, but maybe not perfectly. And this complexity we see with many groups claiming descent from the lost tribes. DNA can provide compelling clues.
But it rarely tells the whole story.
Right.
Okay, so we've got a group in Ethiopia with a unique story.
Yeah.
And some genetic evidence to back them up. But the claims don't stop there, do they?
No, they don't.
Our next stop takes us to Afghanistan, where the Pashtun tribes, who call themselves Bani Israel, meaning children of Israel, they believe they're descended from the lost tribes.
Fascinating, right.
They have a rich oral tradition filled with stories of their ancestors migrating from ancient Israel, facing exile and hardship, but ultimately preserving their identity in a new land.
A story of resilience.
And what's really interesting is that some of their customs bear a striking resemblance to ancient Israelite practices.
Yes.
What kind of customs are we talking about?
Well, for instance, they practice circumcision, which is central to both Jewish and Islamic faith. They also observe certain dietary laws that mirror kosher practices. And some Pashtun tribes even have a day of rest that resembles the Jewish Sabbath.
Wow, that's pretty compelling. It makes you wonder if those are just coincidences or remnants of a shared past. But has DNA testing been able to shed any light on the Pashtun claims?
So here's where things get a little less clear-cut. Some DNA studies have hinted at the possibility of ancient Semitic ancestry among the Pashtuns, but the results aren't definitive.
Another case where the evidence is open to interpretation.
Exactly. And it highlights one of the challenges in unraveling the mystery of the lost tribes. How do we weigh different types of evidence? How much weight do we give to oral histories and cultural practices?
Versus genetic data.
Versus genetic data. And what happens when different types of evidence seem to contradict each other?
Those are some tough questions. And it sounds like every group we look at will bring its own unique set of clues and challenges to the table. Before we dive into those other groups, though, I think it's important to understand the historical context surrounding the Assyrian conquest.
Okay.
And why those 10 tribes were lost in the first place.
You're right, that's a good place to start. The Assyrian Empire, you see, was a dominant force in the ancient Near East, known for its military might and its ruthless approach to conquest.
Sounds a bit intimidating.
They mastered the art of deportation, scattering populations across vast distances to break their will and prevent rebellions.
So it's like they were playing a real-life game of Risk, strategically moving populations around to consolidate their power.
That's a great analogy, and it makes it all the more challenging to track the movements and the fate of the 10 tribes.
Yeah, they were deliberately dispersed, their cultural identity intentionally fragmented.
Exactly.
No wonder their story has become such an enduring mystery.
It really is.
It's like trying to piece together a shattered mosaic with fragments scattered across continents and centuries.
And that's exactly what we'll be doing as we continue to explore the claims of these 12 groups. Each one offers a unique piece of the puzzle.
And it's up to us to determine how they fit into the bigger picture.
Precisely. Speaking of scattered pieces, our next stop takes us to Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, about as far geographically as you can get from ancient Israel.
Right.
And yet, some researchers claim to have found striking parallels between Japanese traditions and ancient Israelite practices.
Now that one really piqued my curiosity when I saw it on our list.
Yeah.
It sounds almost too incredible to believe.
It does, doesn't it?
What kind of evidence are they basing this claim on?
Well, it's definitely one of the more controversial claims.
Okay.
And it sparked quite a bit of debate.
I bet.
Some point to linguistic similarities between Japanese and Hebrew,
Okay.
suggesting a possible connection that goes back centuries.
Interesting.
Others focus on certain religious rituals and symbols that seem to echo ancient Israelite customs.
Okay, I have to admit,
Yeah,
my skepticism sensors are tingling a bit here,
I understand.
but I'm willing to keep an open mind.
Good.
Can you give us some specific examples of these parallels?
Sure. One example that often gets cited is the Japanese Shinto ritual of carrying portable shrines called mikoshi during festivals.
Okay.
These mikoshi are elaborately decorated
Right.
and are believed to house the spirits of deities.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah,
I've seen videos of those festivals. They're quite a spectacle.
they are.
But I'm not seeing the connection to ancient Israel yet.
Well, some researchers see a resemblance between these mikoshi and the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant.
The sacred chest that held the Ten Commandments in ancient Israel.
Ah,
Both objects are treated with reverence
right.
and are carried in processions as a display of religious devotion.
Okay, I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But couldn't that just be a coincidence?
Possibly.
Cultures around the world have traditions of carrying sacred objects in processions.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
And many scholars do dismiss these similarities as mere coincidence or cultural borrowing. After all, human societies often develop similar practices independently or adopt customs from each other through trade or migration.
So while it's a fascinating idea,
Yeah.
we need more than a few visual or symbolic parallels to make a convincing case
I agree.
for a historical connection between ancient Israel and Japan.
Exactly. And that's where things get tricky with a lot of these claims. It's
Sure.
tempting to get swept up in the mystery and the romance of these connections.
can see that.
But we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions
Right.
without sufficient evidence.
Speaking of needing more evidence, let's move on to another group whose claims have been hotly debated.
Okay.
Native Americans.
Ah, yes, the connection between the 10 lost tribes and Native American populations.
Yeah.
This one is particularly complex,
Okay.
intertwined with religious beliefs and historical interpretations.
I know this is a sensitive topic.
Yes, it is.
So let's tread carefully here.
Of course.
I understand that some early European explorers observed Native American rituals that reminded them of Jewish customs,
They did.
leading to speculation about a possible connection.
That's right. Those early observations, combined with certain biblical prophecies about the scattering of Israel,
Right.
led some to believe that Native Americans might be descended from the lost tribes.
And this belief was further amplified within the Mormon faith, right?
Exactly.
There's scriptures, because specifically the Book of Mormon,
Right.
suggests that a group of ancient Israelites migrated to the Americas and became the ancestors of Native Americans.
Exactly. And this belief has had a significant impact on how some Mormons view Native Americans, seeing them as a long-lost branch of the House of Israel destined to be reunited with their biblical brethren.
But from what I understand,
Yeah.
the mainstream scientific community doesn't really support this theory.
That's correct. Most historians and anthropologists point to the overwhelming evidence supporting the theory that the Americas were populated by migrations from Asia across the Bering Land Bridge thousands of years ago.
So it seems like the idea of a direct Israelite origin for Native Americans is based more on faith and interpretation of religious texts than on scientific consensus.
That's a fair assessment.
Okay.
And it highlights the importance of distinguishing between religious beliefs, which are matters of faith, and historical theories, which are based on scientific evidence and scholarly research.
Well, I'm glad we can have this conversation respectfully,
Right.
acknowledging the different perspectives at play.
Absolutely.
It's important to approach sensitive topics like this with nuance and understanding.
You're absolutely right. And I think it's a testament to the power of this mystery that it can spark such passionate debate
It is.
and inspire people to delve deeper into their own cultural and spiritual roots.
Okay, we've journeyed from Ethiopia to Afghanistan to Japan,
We have
and even touched on the complexities of Native American heritage.
a lot of ground covered.
But we still have more ground to cover.
We do.
Let's turn our attention now to a group in southern Africa, the Lemba people. Their story brings together cultural practices, oral history, and, intriguingly,
Yes.
some fascinating DNA evidence.
The Lemba are a great example of how different types of evidence can converge to create a compelling narrative.
Okay.
They have long maintained that they migrated from the Middle East centuries ago, bringing with them traditions and beliefs that echo those of ancient Israel.
What kind of traditions are we talking about?
Well, for starters, they practice male circumcision, a ritual central to both Jewish and Islamic faith.
Okay.
They also have dietary customs that resemble kosher practices, avoiding certain foods like pork,
Got it.
and they observe a weekly day of rest that parallels the Jewish Sabbath.
So they've got these cultural practices that seem to connect them to ancient Israelite customs.
Right.
But is there anything beyond that to support their claims?
This is where the DNA evidence comes into play.
Okay.
And it's quite remarkable.
Really?
Genetic testing has revealed that a significant portion of Lemba men carry a particular Y chromosome signature, known as the Cohen modal haplotype.
Okay, now you've lost me.
Oh, sorry.
Break that down for me.
Sure.
What exactly is a Cohen modal haplotype?
Okay.
And why is it significant in this context?
Think of it like a genetic fingerprint passed down from father to son.
Okay.
In Jewish tradition, the Kohanim are a priestly lineage descended from Aaron, the brother of Moses.
Right.
And this specific genetic marker, the Cohen modal haplotype, is found at a much higher frequency among men who identify as Kohanim
Interesting.
than in the general Jewish population.
So the fact that many Lemba men share this genetic marker
Yes,
suggests a possible link to the ancient Jewish priesthood.
precisely. And while it doesn't necessarily prove a direct link to the 10 lost tribes,
Okay.
it does suggest a historical connection to the Jewish people that goes back centuries.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that DNA testing can offer such tangible clues to our ancestral past,
It is.
connecting people across continents and through time.
It truly is a powerful tool for unraveling historical mysteries.
Yeah.
But as we've seen with other groups,
Right.
DNA evidence is often just one piece of the puzzle.
Makes sense.
We have to consider it alongside other forms of evidence, like cultural practices,
Right.
oral histories, and linguistic analysis,
Okay.
to get a more complete picture.
Speaking of different forms of evidence,
Yes.
Let's circle back to the Assyrian Christians we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Their claim to a connection to the 10 lost tribes is a bit more nuanced, right?
Yes. Their story is less about direct genealogical descent and more about cultural and religious continuity.
Okay.
Remember, they live in regions that were once part of the Assyrian Empire, where the 10 lost tribes were exiled.
Right.
So it's entirely plausible that their traditions were shaped by interactions with Israelites who settled there.
It makes sense that different groups would experience and interpret their connection to the 10 lost tribes in different ways,
It does.
depending on their unique historical and cultural circumstances.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this topic so fascinating. It's not just a historical mystery.
Right.
It's also a cultural and spiritual puzzle
Uh-huh.
with different pieces fitting together in unexpected ways.
Okay, we've covered a lot of specific groups and their claims.
We have.
Now let's zoom out for a minute
Okay.
and talk about the different types of evidence that researchers use to support the broader idea that the 10 lost tribes survived
Right.
and migrated to different parts of the world.
One of the most common forms of evidence, as we've already seen,
Yeah.
is cultural practices.
Okay.
Similarities in customs, like circumcision, dietary laws, Sabbath observance, and specific rituals, are often cited as proof of a shared Israelite heritage.
It's easy to see how those kinds of parallels would be compelling,
It is.
especially for people searching for connections to their past.
Yeah.
It's like finding a familiar melody in a song from a distant land.
Certainly, but we have to be cautious about drawing conclusions based solely on cultural similarities. Remember, human cultures often develop similar practices independently, or they borrow from each other through trade, migration, or conquest.
So, just because two groups share a custom doesn't necessarily mean they share a common ancestor.
Right.
It could just be a case of cultural diffusion. Right.
Exactly. It's like playing a game of telephone ideas and practices can get passed along and transformed over time, making it tricky to trace their origins. We need to look for a convergence of evidence,
Okay.
not just isolated similarity.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about linguistic evidence?
Okay.
Does that play a role in this mystery?
Linguistic analysis can be intriguing, but it's also one of the most controversial areas of study.
How so?
Some researchers claim to have found similarities between Hebrew and various languages spoken by groups claiming descent from the 10 lost tribes.
Wow.
We're talking about languages in Africa, Asia, and even the Americas.
Wow, that's a pretty bold claim. Could there really be linguistic connections that span such vast distances and time periods?
It's a fascinating possibility,
Yeah.
but most linguists are highly skeptical of these claims.
Okay.
They point out that superficial similarities in a handful of words or sounds don't necessarily prove a genealogical link between languages.
Right.
Languages evolve over time,
Yeah.
and it's not uncommon for them to borrow words or sounds from each other through contact.
So like with cultural practices, we have to be careful not to over-interpret linguistic similarities.
do.
What might seem like a smoking gun
Yeah.
could just be a case of linguistic borrowing or coincidence.
Precisely. It's important to approach these claims with a critical eye and rely on rigorous linguistic analysis to determine whether there are genuine connections or just accidental resemblances.
Okay, so we've talked about cultural practices
Yes.
and linguistic analysis,
Well.
but there's one more type of evidence we haven't discussed yet: religious texts.
Okay.
How do they factor into the search for the 10 lost tribes?
Religious texts, particularly the Bible, play a significant role in shaping beliefs about the lost tribes.
Okay.
Prophecies about the future gathering and restoration of Israel,
Great.
found in books like Ezekiel and Isaiah,
Yeah.
are often interpreted as referring to the eventual rediscovery and return of the 10 lost tribes.
So for people of faith,
Yes.
these biblical prophecies provide hope that the 10 lost tribes aren't truly lost,
Right.
but will one day be reunited with the rest of Israel.
That's a common interpretation.
Okay.
And this belief has fueled centuries of speculation and exploration,
Wow.
with people searching for clues to the tribe's whereabouts in various corners of the world.
It's incredible how religious beliefs can intertwine with historical mysteries,
It is.
driving people to seek answers that connect their faith to the real world.
Absolutely.
It adds another layer of complexity to this already fascinating puzzle.
It certainly does, and it's important to remember that these beliefs hold deep spiritual significance for many people, regardless of whether or not they are supported by historical or scientific evidence.
So we've got this intricate tapestry of evidence.
Yeah, dear.
Cultural practices, linguistic analysis, DNA testing,
Yes.
religious texts,
Yeah.
and oral histories.
It's quite a lot.
How do we even begin to make sense of it all?
That's the question.
Where do we go from here?
Hmm.
It's like, we've been given all the pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle, but the picture on the box, faded, missing a few chunks.
Yeah.
Where do we even start putting it together?
That's the challenge. And the allure of this whole mystery, there's no simple formula.
Right.
No single test
Yeah.
that can definitively prove or disprove these claims.
So we just have to approach each piece of evidence thoughtfully,
Thoughtfully, yeah.
consider its strengths and limitations, and try to see how they all fit together.
Exactly. Like being a detective. You gather clues,
Yeah.
interview witnesses, look for patterns and connections.
And sometimes the most compelling evidence comes from unexpected places.
Absolutely.
It sounds like we need to engage both our heads and our hearts in this quest.
I think so too.
Critical thinking, to evaluate the evidence, but also a sense of empathy,
Yeah.
to understand, like, the cultural and spiritual significance these claims hold for so many people.
It's not just an intellectual exercise, it's a journey into the heart of human identity.
And the longing to connect with our past.
Exactly.
Speaking of connections,
Yeah.
let's talk about the broader implications of this search for the 10 lost tribes.
Okay.
It's not just about satisfying our curiosity, right?
No.
It touches on profound questions about belonging, heritage, even politics.
You're right. Imagine discovering that your family history is far more complex and far-reaching than you ever imagined.
Wow.
That can have a profound impact on your sense of self and your place in the world.
For many groups, claiming descent from the 10 lost tribes isn't just about genetics.
It's not.
It's about reclaiming a narrative, a sense of historical significance,
And a connection to a rich spiritual heritage.
finding a place in a story that stretches back thousands of years.
Right.
A story that speaks of resilience, faith, and the enduring power of cultural identity.
Beautifully said.
And in some cases, like we saw with the Beta Israel,
Yeah.
these claims can have real-world political consequences.
They can.
Their claim of descent from ancient Israelites was a key factor in their recognition as Jews under Israeli law
Right.
and their subsequent mass migration to Israel.
That's a powerful example of how an ancient claim can suddenly become a modern reality, shaping policies, sparking debates, and even impacting international relations.
It's a reminder that history isn't just a collection of dusty facts and dates.
No, it's not.
It's a living force that shapes our present and our future.
Well said.
So the search for the 10 lost tribes
Yeah.
forces us to confront some fundamental questions.
Like a...
How do we determine the validity of these claims? What level of evidence is convincing? And what happens when different types of evidence, cultural, linguistic, genetic, religious, point in different directions?
Those are tough questions, and I don't think there are easy answers.
Yeah.
Each case needs to be evaluated on its own merits, taking into account the specific evidence, the historical context, and the cultural sensitivities involved.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
But I think it's safe to say that the search for the 10 lost tribes will continue,
I think so too.
driven by a combination of curiosity, faith, and a deep-seated desire to understand our shared human past.
Absolutely. And who knows what the future holds? New discoveries, new technologies, new interpretations of existing evidence.
Yeah.
Any of these could shed new light on this enduring mystery.
It's exciting to think about what we might learn in the years to come.
It is.
Maybe we'll find concrete evidence that confirms some of these claims. Or maybe we'll uncover new mysteries that deepen the puzzle even further.
Either way, the story of the 10 Lost Tribes will continue to fascinate and inspire us.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that history is full of surprises, that the human story is still being written, and that our journey to understand our past is an ongoing adventure.
Well said. And for all of you listening out there, we encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating topic.
Yes.
Read, research, ask questions, and don't be afraid to challenge assumptions.
Exactly.
Who knows what mysteries you might unravel?
The beauty of history, and especially a mystery like this, is that the journey of discovery is just as rewarding as the destination.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the claims of the 12 groups who believe they are descended from the 10 lost tribes of Israel.
It's been a journey.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
And who knows, maybe this episode has sparked a curiosity in you to delve even deeper into this fascinating topic.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What evidence did you find most compelling? What questions are still swirling in your mind? Feel free to share your reflections on our website or social media.
We look forward to hearing from you.
And until next time, keep exploring.
As we conclude this journey through the mystery of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, one undeniable truth emerges. Their story is not merely a tale of history but a mirror reflecting humanity's search for identity. From Beta Israel in Ethiopia to the Pashtun tribes in Afghanistan, their enduring legacy reminds us of the resilience of faith and culture. Could their rediscovery redefine what it means to belong? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters in unraveling this enigma. This exploration also challenges us to balance faith with evidence. DNA science and archaeology provide glimpses into their potential origins, yet their story transcends what science alone can explain. The narratives passed through generations, whether fact or faith, shape identities and inspire millions. Do we rely too heavily on evidence, or is belief enough to preserve heritage? Let us know your perspective, and don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you. The theological implications of the 10 tribes stretch far beyond academic curiosity. For believers, their rediscovery could signify the fulfillment of divine promises. For skeptics, it represents the allure of the unknown. How do these opposing views shape our understanding of faith today? Can rediscovery unite different faiths, or would it deepen divisions? If this question intrigues you, subscribe to join our ongoing exploration of history, identity, and faith. Cultural survival is at the heart of the 10 tribes narrative. Communities like the Lemba and Beta Israel preserve their traditions across centuries, blending history with spiritual devotion. In an era of globalization, their stories inspire us to protect our own heritage while embracing new connections. What traditions in your life connect you to the past? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to share this video with friends who love uncovering the mysteries of history. The political dimensions of this mystery are equally striking. Recognition as descendants of the 10 tribes has granted groups like Beta Israel legal and cultural inclusion, but it has also sparked heated debates. How should governments navigate claims rooted in ancient lineage? Should identity be determined by faith, evidence, or both? Share your thoughts below. Your insights could spark the next big conversation about history's impact on modern society. The enduring fascination with the 10 tribes speaks to humanity's love for the unknown. From Japan's cultural parallels to Native American narratives, their story connects continents and eras in surprising ways. Is this evidence of ancient migration, or are we finding patterns where none exist? What does this teach us about our need for connection? If these questions captivate you, give this video a thumbs up and join us for more discussions on ancient mysteries. This journey has revealed more than just historical insights. It has posed profound questions about identity, belonging, and faith. Whether or not the 10 tribes are ever found, their story inspires reflection on what it means to be human. Could their legacy be a call to reconnect with our shared history? If this resonates, subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking explorations of history, culture, and faith. As we part, let's not forget, the story of the 10 lost tribes is not just about the past, it's about the present and future. Their mystery invites us to seek understanding, celebrate diversity, and question everything we think we know. How will you engage with this story moving forward? Comment below, share this video with someone curious, and subscribe to join a community passionate about unraveling history's greatest questions.